Hi, you're watching Nerdy News on VideoGamesBlogger.com. I'm your host Laura, and today I'll be filling you in on the latest in gaming news. If you were laid off from your job, would you consider turning pro gamer? With the NBA lockout threatening to wipe out next season, a lot of folks are sweating, but Gordon Hayward of the Utah Jazz will be getting his competition fix this fall just the same. While locked out NBAers such as Deron Williams of the New Jersey Nets and Wilson Chandler of the Denver Nuggets will be dribbling and slam dunking abroad during the league's labor trouble, Hayward will be competing in a professional video game league with IGN Entertainment. Hayward will compete in the StarCraft 2 tournament in the IGN Pro League from October 6th to the 9th at Caesars Atlantic City, one of the estimated 256 players going for a share of a $100,000 prize pool. Hayward has even been receiving coaching from some IGN Pro League coaches. What a lucky guy! The video game league has had 1.2 million unique visitors and 6 million page views in its online tournaments since launching this past April. In US retail stores, this summer's been something of a nightmare for video game sales. In August, the trend continues as an overall retail game sales fell 23% from a year ago, according to market researcher NPD Group. This comes after a 26% drop in July and a 10% drop in June. While it may seem like the game industry is in a funk, these sales numbers reflect only retail sales. Other digital sales, including used games, rentals, online games, mobile games, and social games, show constant growth. Of course, a lot of disruption may result if retail sales fall off faster than digital sales rise. There are different players, such as Zynga, that may benefit more from the rise of digital games than traditional game companies. All categories except portable games were down. Total video game hardware, software, and accessory sales at retail stores were $699.9 million in August, down 23% from $873.8 million a year ago. Overall, console video game sales, excluding PC games, were $648.9 million, down 21% from $822.3 million a year ago. A team of designers thinks video games are too complicated to make. Their solution? A cardboard box, of course. Since their inception, video games have gradually become more realistic. Aside from conventions and accessories, video games haven't really made the jump from the television screen. However, a team of designers at Teague took a video game from a fancy box behind the screen and put it in a deceptively plain cardboard box. Pull the front tab and the flap lifts up. A startup sound signals the beginning of the game and the level begins to scroll. Magnetized enemies and blocks move from left to right, and the player's character must avoid them, or a magnetic sensor stops the game when it passes over an enemy. A knob on the side of the box controls the character, which is attached to an arm and servo that moves vertically as you turn the knob. If you knock into an enemy, the box closes, game over. The DIY video game in a box looks like an arts and crafts project for the technological age. It is a great example of what happens when you combine tech knowledge, creativity, and a do-it-yourself ethic. Some well-to-do scientists have discovered the scariest game on the Xbox 360. Lots of video games claim to be scary. If it's dark and things jump out of closets at you, it's scary. Instead of game developers telling you what's scary, let scientists tell you. Usability studio Vertical Slice has conducted research into scary games using a 500-person psychological database, 6 live test subjects, and fancy gear that measured stuff like skin temperature, sweat levels, and heart rate. They only tested on Xbox 360 and then only tested from a short list of games deemed scary enough to be on the short list. The 4 titles picked in the end to test on live subjects were Alan Wake, Resident Evil 5, Dead Space 2, and Condemned. In the end, the study found that casual and hardcore players were affected differently by horror in games, core players being less susceptible to scares. It also found across both groups that Dead Space 2 was the scariest game of the lot, proving that monster closet gags may be cliched, but they work. Now for some games releasing this week. Red Orchestra 2 Heroes of Stalingrad is a World War II themed first-person shooter developed for Microsoft Windows. It is a sequel to Red Orchestra Ostfront 41-45. This title will focus heavily on the Battle of Stalingrad. Guns behave realistically with bullet drop and spin taken into account. The game also takes away an ammo counter, forcing players to remember or manually check the approximate amount of rounds that are left in the gun's magazine. NHL 12 is an ice hockey video game developed for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The game notably includes more interactive goalies, meaning players can have real contact with goalies, and vice versa. The goalies and skaters may fight with each other even. This game will also feature better physics engine, improved Be a Pro mode, and the ability to play the 2011 NHL Winter Classic. White Knight Chronicles is a role-playing game for the PlayStation 3. It is a direct sequel to the 2008 title White Knight Chronicles. The game will allow the player to transfer their character from White Knight Chronicles along with money, equipment, and guild ranks. The game also contains a remastered version of the original White Knight Chronicles. That's all the news I have for today. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below. Love and peace from my PC to yours.